Just like I always said, I'm a fourth generation commercial fisherman. Um, I lived the oil spill experience in St. Bernard, Louisiana, and I am the owner of Campo's Marina. Me, my father, and my brother. Our business has been in business for 117 years, so we've been around a while. Um, I come from an Isleños heritage. Um, that's what most people are in Lower St. Bernard Parish. So here goes. On April the 20th of 2010, no knowledge of any rig explosions or anything. I do what I do most days. I also own two oyster boats, and I farm 1,500 acres of oyster ground. So I leave out Shell Beach with my oyster boat, and I've got about an hour and 20-minute ride to my oyster leases out in Falsemouth Bay. And I get over there, and I'm getting that way, and I'm watching a beautiful sunrise that morning. And I get to my oyster leases, and we try to catch a 50 sack quota a day. We set ourselves on a load limit. So we catch our 50 sacks, and we return back to Shell Beach, and we unload the boat and head back to my dock, and I park in my slip, and we're cleaning the boat and everything, and I shut it down. I walk into my truck, and I remember my phone ringing. I was still in a flip phone age back in 2010. So I stopped, and I grabbed my phone out of my pocket, and I didn't recognize the number, and it was a New York number. So I said, man, who the hell is this? So I answered the phone. I said, hello, and it's Ann Thompson on the phone. And Ann Thompson, if you don't know who she is, she's from NBC Nightly News. So she tells me, she says, and man, she's going a mile a minute. So I'm trying to process all this stuff at the same time. So, it's a long day. So anyway, she says, hi, this is Ann Thompson from NBC Nightly News, blah, 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 blah. And she's going on and on and on and on about the oil rig blowing up, and, how's this going to affect your business, and blah, 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 blah. I said, whoa, slow down. I said, what oil rig blew up, and where are we talking about? What's going on? She says, well, what do you mean exactly? I said, well, I have no knowledge of nothing, none of this. So she goes into telling me how the Deepwater Horizon rig blew up, a massive explosion. 11 people were still missing, and they were trying to put out this massive fire. And it gets worse than that. She said the pipe that the oil is coming out of is broke off at the surface of the Gulf of Mexico floor. So this is where my day starts to take a downward spiral. So I'm standing there. I remember standing in the middle of the street, and the wind is blowing out of the southeast about a 10 miles an hour breeze, and it's blowing right in my face. So I asked her, I said, how far offshore is this rig, this oil rig? And she said it's approximately 50 miles. So you do the math at 50 miles, 15 mile an hour winds out the south. We got big trouble in Little China. So I get home, and television just lit up with, all this coverage of BP oil spill. So I'm looking at the television, and I'm trying to pay attention to the weather, because the weather is the most important thing right now. And it says, the weatherman says that it's going to be blowing 15 miles an hour, 10 to 15 miles an hour out of the southeast for the next 2 weeks. I said, oh, this is not good. So shortly thereafter, when I was on the phone with Ann Thompson, she wanted to do an interview. She wanted to know if I would be up to do an interview. I said, sure. So we did the interview a couple of days later. So I'm getting back to this television stuff, and I'm watching this. And I remember saying, this wind coming out the southeast in April was really not unusual, because in the month of April, that's what, as fishermen, we look for to bring the brown shrimp larvae in, and get up into the estuaries, and that's how we have our shrimping season, our first shrimping season, May season. Well, along comes with the shrimp larvae is coming this oil, and as it's getting closer to shore. I remember President Obama giving the okay to start spraying disbursement on this oil. Well, they sprayed the disbursement, and they spraying it from aircraft and airplanes, and and God knows other kind of ways they spraying it out there to sink to sink this oil. So what, in my mind, out of sight is out of mind. Well, um, we start seeing massive fish kills. A lot of it was manhaden, mullet, speckled trout, bull reds, bull drums, and this is going on for miles. We saw dead sea turtles. We saw dead crabs that were full of eggs that was floating in these dead fish, blue crabs. We saw dead porpoises about 3-4 feet long. There was quite a few of them, and I said, "Man, this is just depressing." So, myself and the other fishermen, we want answers. So we have a town hall meeting in Chalmette, Louisiana. We have it's in St. Bernard. We have a town hall meeting, and there's local, state, federal government agencies. There's BP representatives, and I swear to you, it was like a question that would come to these guys sitting up on a row of chairs like this on a stage. They would all be looking at each other, and nobody had an answer. It was kind of like a dog chasing his tail. It was pitiful. So one of the BP reps that was there said, "We're going to make this right. We're going to hire y'all's boats." So they did. We stretched out 160 feet of oil boom, to try to contain this oil from getting into the marshes. So we did that. We put over 160 miles out. And daily we had to go out with our boats and maintain it. And due to the tide coming in and the strong winds, the ropes would pop, and we'd have to go put all the stuff back together, and it was a nightmare. Needless to say, it was a nightmare, a real nightmare. And still dead fish. Every day is dead fish, miles and miles and miles of dead fish. And as being an oyster fisherman, I'm looking at all these dead fish and said, well, if these fish are dead like this, our oysters don't have a shot. And it didn't. And it killed miles and miles of reefs. That after Hurricane Katrina was just so full of oysters, it was just unbelievable. The abundance of seafood that we had after Katrina it was mind-blowing. And it being a shrimper, also, I could tell you this because I lived it. We lost everything for Katrina, houses, business, everything. But the seafood was there. And we knew that we could survive. As long as we had seafood, we could survive. But now this comes along and all the seafood's dead. We rebuilt, but we got dead seafood. So it's, I like to think that I'm a strong person and I can handle a lot and I can endure a lot. But to tell you, this was wearing me down. It was getting the best of me. And working for them every day, seeing this, I couldn't do this in front of my crew, but man, at night it was killing me. And this is what happened to the oyster industry. The combination of disbursement, oil, the river water that they turned loose out of the Bonacary spillway. I guess it was a combination of all these things. And it's been nearly 7 years, I guess, since this thing happened. And I could tell you, I could take you to oyster reefs right now that haven't produced an oyster since this happened. And I don't know why. I can't explain it. Scientists don't know why. Biologists don't know why. And it had not been for the oyster fishermen that's in St. Bernard Parish putting out crushed concrete and limestone, we wouldn't have an oyster industry today. And you know, and what would Louisiana be without seafood? So Louisiana is near and dear to me. It's in my heart. I'm born and raised on these bayous all my life. Um, I tell people all the time that I have salt water in my veins. That's what my blood type is. It's salt water. And just and again, Louisiana is just a unique spot, unique place to live in. I couldn't see myself doing anything else but fishing for a living, and I don't know what I would do without being on the bayous every day. And it's hard to think, and it's hard to process that you might have to go do something else. And it makes you mad, and at the same time, it makes you cry. It makes you, you got all these emotions going through your mind. And one thing I can tell you about Louisiana fishermen is they're very proud people. They're hardworking. They endure weather that most people wouldn't even go outside in. And I've been out there, and I've done it myself a bunch of times. But at the end of the day, and I'll close with this, what makes me do what I do is because Louisiana is home. The end.